Well, hi guys. First off, welcome to JaeRae. If you haven't seen the YouTube video yet that I just put up on my other channel on Life with Jen, it was explaining the process and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm ready to... Wow. Sorry, just looking at something on TV. It says, Isaiah 46:9. Remember the formal things of old, for I am God, and there is no other. I am God, and there is none like me. That's a true statement. If you don't believe it, that's totally fine with you. You can still stay with the channel. You know, I'm not going to pressure you into anything, but some of my talks we're going to be having is about God. Some will be about narcissism. And like this is my first one. And since it's my first one, you know, I'm still going to be looking off of my book until I don't have to anymore. So, I started this channel well, let me go back a little bit. Some of you who were just now coming in, who may be new subscribers, a little bit about my family. If you guys ever heard of the Angry Grandpa, unfortunately, he passed away in 2017, but he was the man of YouTube. He helped so many people with just his words and laughter and the pranks, and a lot of you love that, and I know a lot of you miss that. You still have Michael's channel, you know, you still have Tina around in videos and stuff like that, but I ventured away. I still love my family. We had a talk. Me and Michael had a talk, and we lashed out everything. And here recently, someone in the family said some horrible things to me, and all because I said one word. I don't understand how one word can upset somebody that much. And then, you know, I went off. I shouldn't have. I should have just let it go. You know, because it made me look like a complete idiot. So I just let it go. So I apologize for everybody who had to see that. So I wrote this just sitting there in the bed. Well, some of it sitting there in the bed. I had to go outside and sit and write. I had to go to my private spot in the neighborhood and just write. You know, when you're alone, that's when everything comes out. And like you guys, for instance, get you a pen and paper and just start writing something. You know, you never know how good that would be for you. When I was going through cancer and radiation, all those things, and it was horrible. I took a book. I took a book and paper, and actually, we're just doing a little thing for now. Actually, you see all these books? See all these books? Yeah, these are what I've done. Let's see, that's book 3. Let's see. Trying to find the first one I wrote, and it might. And you see this one's all tore up. Tore up. See, it's even got the kids' stuff in it. This one So these books were basically lyrics to songs, and I can't do all of these. So it'd be part of my inspiration. Maybe a few I'll pick out as songs. I'm not sure yet. But I built it all for you. That was my first, that was my first song. Monster. That was my horrible feelings. Anyways, like I said, I'll look back and forth to the book, because I still have to, even though I wrote it, like, come on, you guys still have to do it. So this one is called The Mountain Nobody Saw. The mountain nobody saw. When people looked at her, they saw someone who smiled often. They didn't see the mountain she climbed every day. Some mornings, getting out of bed felt like lifting the world on her shoulders. I know you guys have felt that, so have I. Her dreams had fallen. They have fallen so far apart, one by one. Friends and family had drifted away. Doors she had prayed. Doors she had prayed would open and stay. But they would stay firmly shut. Each disappointment whispered the same lie. Maybe this is as far as you'll ever go. I'm sure some of you have heard that. Someone tells you this is as far as you're going to go. No. You're going to go even farther. For a while, she believed it. She stopped chasing dreams, stopped chasing opportunities. She even stopped expecting good news. Hope became something she admired in other people, but no longer in herself. One rainy afternoon, she wandered to a small park. An elderly man was planting flowers in the mud. She watched him for several minutes. Someone's staring at me for several minutes? Bet I'm going to ask, are you okay? But before asking, she asked, why plant flowers? Why plant flowers in weather like this? They'll never grow. And you know, that's just her being not optimistic. That's her being negative. The old man smiled without looking up at her. They're not growing for today, he said. They're growing for yesterday. These words, they settled deep inside her heart. And if you came along something like that, you know, you might be like, no, because you're still in that mentality that you're still stuck in those bad news. You're still stuck in expecting things to never happen again. You're expecting bad days over and over and over again. But then she had realized she had been judging her life by today's storms. Just think about that a minute. The storms that you're in, You're judging your life by those storms. And, instead of tomorrow's possibilities, tomorrow's a new day. Go out and reach for it. So the next morning, nothing had magically changed. Her problems still needed to be paid. Her bills still needed to be paid. Her problems were still there. You see, I got them mixed up. That heartbreak still hurt. And I know many of you have been through so much heartbreak as I have. But don't look at that as the end of the world. Take your time. Take some time and space and peace. Find that peace that makes you happy again. Don't worry about a man or a woman. There could be any reason why they left you. Any reason why they broke your heart. Don't let it define who you are. You may be having heartbreak from a loved one that passed. The past is no longer there. The hurt will still be there. Absolutely. It takes time for when it comes to passing. It also takes time when it comes to any type of heartbreak. It takes time. But just know that when it takes time, when someone passes and that breaks your heart, just think about it. You're going to see them again. They're around you. Look at the signs. For instance, say you see a butterfly and you haven't been seeing them in a while, and you finally see one. You'll be like, that's my person. They're watching out for me. Like I was saying, that heartbreak still hurt. The future, her future or his future was uncertain. And of course, if you got all of this stuff going on, you're going to think that your future is uncertain. Pray. If you don't pray, think of something different. What I do is, I pray, but also I'll run and I'll just replay things that are going on. And that running helps me. I'll keep my headphones on. I'm dancing in the middle of the street and people probably looking at me all funny. But music is my go-to. Music and praying and just talking to God. That's my go-to. Like I said, the future was uncertain. But you know what? She made one decision. One decision. She would take one step. Just one. Each day, she would take a step. So, the first day, what she did, she updated her resume. The next day, she applied for a job. When these things happen and you realize, hey, it's time to make a decision. Write it down on a list for what you're going to do each day. Try that for a week and see what would happen. So the day after that, she had called someone she had been avoiding. Whether that's your brother, your mother, your father, your best friend. Take those steps. A week later, she started reading again. Reading helps. Reading, what do they call it? Soup for the soul. A month later, she was volunteering on weekends. And let me tell you something, you can go anywhere and volunteer. I volunteer with my church that I go to. It doesn't necessarily have to be a church. It could be a food bank. It could be the hospital. Just sitting down, like, and talking to the people that have no one to be there for them, especially the nursing homes. Like, you see their little lights glow up. Like, there's a little bit of hope just for you talking to them. So, little by little, the mountain that once seemed impossible became a trail marked by thousands of small, faithful steps. Small, faithful steps. You have to have faith. Reach to it. Reach as high as you can for that faith. Yes, there were setbacks. Yeah, there were days she wanted to quit. For instance, when I had breast cancer, I still have it, but in the beginning, I was like, no, I don't. This is, no, I don't have it. And I had to keep going to, all these appointments and stuff to get saline put into, the implants. And it was like twice a week for, a month? 2 months? And, I kept telling the doctor, I said, something's wrong. Something's infected. I know my body. He saw me 2 months later after I had showed him all the pictures, and he had said, yeah, you have an infection, but we cannot treat it. We can't give you any antibiotics. And I'm like, are you serious? So he let me go. As soon as I get home, I'm like crying. I'm like, I might as well just quit. And then I looked at the pictures of the kids and the place I was in. It was a beautiful place. I looked at my kids, and, I have pictures of my niece and nephew, and I looked at them, and I looked at my brother, and I was like, if I just give up, I will never see any of this again. So I've had 5 surgeries. September 11th, they opened me up and saw that I had gangrene because of the bad infection. So I've had 5 surgeries. And I was like, I just want to give up. But then, I can't. If you have that mentality, you will. Here we go. Yes, there were days she wanted to quit, but every challenge taught her something she could have. But yeah, sorry, but every challenge taught her something she could have never learned from comfort. Sorry, I kind of messed that up, but let's say it again. Yes, there were setbacks. Yes, there were days she wanted to quit. But every challenge taught her something that she could have never learned from comfort. Okay, all right, yeah, that's it. I was reading my own writing here. So failure taught her resilience. Waiting taught her patience. Loss taught her gratitude. Gratitude for your family, your friends. I have gratitude. And this whole stuff that's going on with my family right now, even though it is, I still have gratitude. Fear taught her courage. So for instance, I was afraid to do this because I was afraid I was going to fail. But all it did was teach me courage. If you fail, you fail. So years later, someone asked her how she had become so strong. You know how I became strong? Going through those many, many, many appointments and surgeries. Nobody was there. The only person that ever really was there was my friend Tim. Took me to every appointment. You know, I was sick. I'd lay in his lap. And he would tell me everything's going to be okay. And it was. You know, and she smiled. She said, I didn't become strong because life got easier. I became strong because I kept walking through it. And like me, you gotta keep walking through it. You can't just quit. You can't. You know, as hard as it may have been, she did it. I did it. You did it. You're going to do it. You know, looking back, she realized the mountain had never seen her. You know, looking back, she realized the mountain had never been her enemy. It never was her enemy. The climb revealed strength she never knew she possessed. Compassion she could now share with others. And faith that carried her farther than confidence ever could. Think about that for a minute. Think about that for a minute. And faith that carried her farther than confidence ever could. So, you know, sometimes victories, they aren't celebrated by trophies or applause. Celebrate yourself. You've earned it. Some of these people see you celebrating yourself. They're like, well, why can't I do that? And that's when you go to them and you say you have to climb that mountain. You know, tell them everything I'm telling you. You know, sometimes victories, they're found in quiet moments when you choose to keep going, even no one else notices. No one's going to notice that you're going to keep going. They're going to see you celebrate that one time and say, oh, she's never going to do anything with it. She's going to change. She's going to go back to her old self. No. She made it through the storm. She got down that mountain. You know, because every sunrise no one notices, because every sunrise begins in darkness. Every sunrise begins in darkness. Every masterpiece begins with just one ordinary decision. You know, what's your ordinary decision? You know, what do you want to accomplish? What are you going through? Make that decision, that one ordinary decision. You can tell me, and we can work it out together. I will help you. You know, here's what I'm going to tell you. I don't know how much you got out of that, but that's just things I sit down and write when I think. You know, and it's about myself. It's about you too. But what I'm going to say to you today is, don't give up. Do not give up today. Don't do it. You may not see the view yet. You may not see it yet. But every step that you take forward, you're closer to a horizon. You're just closer to a horizon. And I don't know what you think when you say, or when you hear closer to horizon, but take that step. Do not give up. You're closer to a horizon you cannot yet imagine. I know I may have, this was my first time doing this, so sometimes it's so hard, like seeing your own handwriting, but then you start to think, yeah, okay, you know, I know it. Or you don't have to look at the book. Don't give up. Don't give up. You'll see the view. And it will be so beautiful. Take that step. One little step. Just take that step and see where that step goes. And then take another step. And another. And just keep going. That's all I have for you today. I have another one almost finished. So the next one, you know, is going to be about God. You know, anything you want to hear or have me talk about, like narcissism, guilt, I can help you get through it. I'm not a therapist, but, you know, writing has helped me get through so much in my life. And all these books, they're all heavy. They're all old. They're like, I started writing when I was in the hospital for the very first surgery, and that was the day after Easter, a couple years ago. You know, there's a lot here, and I also have Christian songs. I don't like too much of the angry songs because that's not me. I don't like to be angry, but you can't help for anger to come out sometimes. Do you feel better when it comes out? No. I know I didn't. I feel like, holy crap. people are going to think I'm projecting. No. My feelings were just hurt because I thought that things were actually going to be what I had hoped and prayed for. But then I come to realize that, not Michael, but I had come to realize that the other brother was only using me for views. Let me tell you something. People say they can't work. And this is not about you, like other people out there. This is about a certain person. Say you can't work. Well, here I am with metastatic breast cancer. Don't know when I'm going to pass away. You know, as long as I'm healthy, I'll live. I have a job. I work 30 to 40 hours a week. I still take medication. But I'm not going to let one bad thing keep me from doing something that I want. Get out there. They're out there. Jobs are out there. I'm not trying to like poke the bear or anything like that. I'm just trying to tell you, like, I have a job. I walk to work and I walk home. It's not that far, so I can. And when I go to work, it's like, I'm happy. So, here is, well, I want to say Life with Jen, but it's JaeRae. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And it will get better as time goes. So, I love you guys, and see you next time.